the real issue is that Maduro locked up, not locked up. It doesn't change drug use in this country is the point. So
It
they
won't
have him
stop it.
locked up for that. And it's like at the end of the day, I'm like, for me, as someone who did vote for him, I'm like, I don't try to act like this is about drugs. Like you're saying it one day, but then the next day we're talking about oil. The Crucial Combo Podcast. You could be anywhere if you're on this channel. Thank you for tuning in. To the Crucial Combo Podcast. Well, the Nicolás Maduro situation is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So they go in, they grab him, they bring him back to New York. He's in a federal prison in Brooklyn right now. Let's talk about his charges. He has 4 charges. One is narco-terrorism conspiracy. The second one is cocaine importation conspiracy. The third is possession of machine guns and destructive devices. And the fourth is conspiracy to possess machine guns and destructive devices. So now here's the thing. From what I know, Nick Maduro is not a good guy, right? So he was a protege of Hugo Chavez. So Hugo Chavez was in there as of 98. Hugo Chavez got in. Hugo Chavez was in power for some time. He got cancer, passed away. And basically, Nick Maduro took over for him. Maduro ran the country, I believe, about 13 years. So in 2024, they had an election. Nicolás Maduro lost the election, and he was like, "F y'all, I'm not leaving." Basically, so he basically just is kind of he's an illegitimate leader because he's technically didn't win the election, but he's still the leader because he didn't move. So here's the thing that's interesting. What I'm seeing is that when Trump went in and got him, a lot of the Venezuelan people are happy, right? So you have that part of it. Then you have a lot of people protesting here. Obviously, one, because I think some people just don't like Donald Trump. I get it. And then there's a lot of people who are talking about how it was done, whether it was illegal against international law, right? So the Trump administration is like, look, we went to go get Nick Maduro. We didn't just pull, because you can't go and pluck another head of state out of their country and bring them to your country. It's against law. Yeah, you cannot do that. You can't go grab a head of state because you feel like they're an illegitimate leader, or they're not a good leader, or they're plundering the country's resources. You can't go and grab them because of that. However, the Trump administration went in and grabbed him on narco-terrorism charges. So it's all related to drug dealing, right? They're claiming he was part of the particular cartel, and he's part of basically a big conspiracy in relation to the cartel. So where it's getting weird now, though, it's getting weird because they brought him in. They have him and his wife locked up on these charges, which is supposed to be about drugs, right? What's happening now, this is happening so fast. Now the conversation's about oil, right? Now, initially, the administration said this is not about oil. This is about drugs that are getting into this country.
But didn't he just? I'm looking up. Was it Juan Orlando Hernandez the
president of Honduras?
This the smoke screen, bro. He's literally playing in people's faces, dog.
Well, let's get to that. I'm gonna get to that.
Yes, sir.
So the president of Honduras, you're right, and everybody's been talking about this. The president of Honduras, he was literally caught transporting, I think, 400 million tons of cocaine or whatever.
Yes.
Whatever, it was a large amount. He was in prison, I guess. I'm not sure if it was the Biden administration that got him, but Trump pardoned him.
Yeah.
Right. So here's the issue. I think the issue is, it's a weird thing. Is Maduro a horrible person? From what I understand, yes. From what I understand, Venezuela at a time when they had private oil companies in the country, they were doing well. And Hugo Chavez came in, they decided to nationalize all the oil. So the government took hold of all the oil. When Nick Maduro came in, from what I understand, they're socialists, right? So people who had their land and money, people who were rich, government came in and took it. You know what I'm saying? That's how it goes when it comes to socialist, communist type of regime. Everything is for the government. They can take whatever they want, right? So by most account, people don't like Nick Maduro, right? But here's the issue. The issue is Trump ran on America first. And I think that the issue is for Americans are like, how is this going to benefit us? This is another thing that the US government is working on getting into that takes time away from the focus of America first. And a lot of us were tired of not that this is the same as Afghanistan and Iraq, because it's two different things, apples and oranges, but it's still something foreign that's not focused on domestic. So I think that's the number one issue. That's first. Let me lay that, and then I'll let you rock. The other part of it is that, like I said, it's the smokescreen effect, right? So some people are noticing this, some people are not. So the idea is that, he did something good. The Venezuelan people are happy. I'm sure they are. So they've now made a deal with Venezuela, which is crazy. We're going to take I think it's 300 million barrels of crude oil. We're going to take it and refine it here, sell it on the world market, and then we're going to give the Venezuelan people, the profits for the Venezuelan people. So we're basically just going to be running. This is what we're doing. This is what's happening right now.
The dude who's filed bankruptcy on several occasions is going to actually pay a debt. Man, come.
We're taking over Venezuelan oil for right now, for the foreseeable future.
I think you nailed it when you said it's supposed to be about America first.
Right.
It's not about America. It's never been about America.
Is it ever?
It's never been about America. It's been about big business and big corporations, in particular with this administration. And maybe that's because Trump just comes right out and lets it be done. He's built a reputation where he doesn't have to hide behind smoke screens. Like, let's just call it what it is. So everybody else was like, we're gonna do this to benefit the people and to make it look flush because we want to feel like we're a part of the process.
Mm-hmm.
Voting is making us feel like we're a part of the process. And I don't want to tell nobody don't vote, because I believe in voting more locally than nationally, but than federally. But you get what I'm saying.
Right.
When you said America first, the first thing I thought about was $45 billion to Argentina. But America first. So what we're saying is, hey, American citizen, you've got to pay your loan, but don't worry. We're going to give $45 billion to another country.
Mm.
On what world? I mean, let's take the Obama administration in Libya.
Mm-hmm.
If they would have said, you know what, we're going to come over here and do a covert operation, we're going to snatch Hillary Clinton. We're going to snatch President Obama because we believe that this is the war crime of the century. And we're going to come into the USA and we're going to kidnap a sitting president from the United... Boy, do you think the nuclear button wouldn't be like, if you don't turn them over, we about to wipe your whole country off the planet of the earth?
Yeah.
Right? We think we can just do and bully anybody. This is a bully move, man. I don't know. You ever watch 24, Osu?
I have watched it before, yeah.
Okay, I'm a 24 fan, bro. I've watched 24 like a godless amount of times. But season 5, as soon as President Trump ran for office, the first thing I called that dude, I was like, oh my God, we got Charles Logan in office. Because season 5 sums up what it was. At the end of the day, thinking fictionally, they assassinated a former president of the United States on the show 24.
Mm-hmm. Killed
countless other people. And it all came out. Why? Because Americans want oil. This was on the show, bro. We're watching TV play out live in real time with this dude. It is an atrocity for us to think that we're so good where we can go in somebody else's back door. So wait a minute. So this would mean that the people from Venezuela were fleeing the country for a very good reason and trying to come to the one place where they told was the land of the free and the home of the brave. So if Venezuela if this leadership was as bad as he say it is, then these people should have been automatically given asylum for fleeing that kind of tyrannical leadership to come over here and want to be under President Trump's or Joe Biden's leadership, right? Because if America's the framework for excellence, then why would we say that illegal immigrants can't come here and then we go kidnap a president?
That's a good point. That's a real good point. So this is so dynamic. That is a good point. So they lost 8 million people. 8 million people left Venezuela. They didn't all come here, but a lot did come here, from my understanding. Now,
I mean, that was that open Biden border.
Now, here's the thing. So
I ain't happy about that. I don't want nobody to twist my word. I was not happy about it.
No, it was not a good thing. Yeah. I want to explore this whole dynamic though, because it is easy to be mad at Trump, and I get it. However, a lot of people are arguing. I'm gonna play devil's advocates. People are saying that, which is a fact. Biden, they upped the bounty on Maduro's head. Biden administration had a 25. I think it was might have been a $13 million bounty initially. They upped it to $25 million for his arrest. So the Biden administration wanted it, but we know that the Biden administration wasn't going to do it. They weren't going to go in and capture him like this. This is a very ballsy, over-the-top move that probably only Donald Trump would do. Even Obama or whoever wouldn't have done this. The best, and this is just my opinion, the best that other administrations would have done prior to, they would have sided with the opposition and done a normal, a normal coup.
A normal coup.
Under the radar, America unofficially involved. You know what I'm saying? Same thing they did in Libya and many other places. So I think they probably should have went about it that way, in my opinion. But Trump is like, I ain't got time. I got 3 more years in office. We just gonna do it right live on TV, right in front of your face. So,
but also, real quick though,
yes,
I don't think he's doing that, dog. I think he's like, this is what I'm gonna do, and he's like, wait a minute, y'all let me do that? Oh, well, let me just keep rolling, right? There's no check and balance because nobody's checking and balancing him. Because people are scared,
I
bro.
can see that. I can see that, but I'm saying that nobody's checking in. Well, go ahead. Mm-hmm.
No. I was just saying, if you tell me, hey man, give me $1,000. Well, you didn't really earn it. I don't care. Give me $1,000. Okay. And I go back to you I'm gonna keep asking you for $1,000, and as long as you keep giving it, I'm gonna keep telling you to give me $1,000.
This is what I'll say. I feel you, but I think this is what's happening with Donald Trump. Donald Trump is doing things, and a portion of his action arguably could be good, right? So let's take, but arguably. So let's take, if you take immigration, arguably you could say, okay, there are some adverse effects to so many people absorbing so many people in the country. Mm-hmm. I'm doing something about it. When it comes to Maduro, he said, okay, I didn't just make him a bad guy. This guy's been a bad guy. This guy's done some atrocities in the country. I mean, I've heard a lot of crazy stuff. He killed a lot of opposition, as most horrible leaders do. I also heard a story. I don't know if it's true, but I heard a story that when he took power, he had offered, I'm talking about Nick Maduro now, he had offered some reporters and journalists, he offered them asylum in the U.S., gave them a plane to leave, and when they got up in the sky, they were thrown out of planes. That's what I've heard.
I mean, nobody's saying dude is not a bad dude. Again, I got a person here who's, bro, she is, when I say liberal firefighter,
right,
she is as liberal as they come, highly intelligent, and she was just like, nah, this dude was a bad dude.
And that's what I'm saying.
Doesn't mean Saddam Hussein was a bad dude. Go ahead.
But feel me. What I'm trying to set up is that what Trump is doing is the things that he does inside the action. There's there's a reason that people are like, okay, some of that's good. You know what I'm saying? So I think that the issue is that with the former administration had a bounty on Maduro's head, Trump is like, I'm going in to get him. Now, I think that the argument that most people have, I can't speak for everyone, I think people's argument is that the way it's being done is wrong. And obviously, when you go in, there's a lot of issues whether what we're doing is legal in the sense that you really can't go in and control another country's natural resources. You really can't do that. You know what I'm saying?
Where's Congress, bro?
Well, that's the thing. Yeah. I mean, so to your point, they're not calling this a act of war. So this is where I think this whole thing is really interesting, because they're doing this, but remember, that's why you always got to go back to what they're charging Maduro with.
Yeah.
Right? So they're charging him like he's a drug trafficker, which maybe he is. I don't know. Apparently he's involved in that, but they're charging him there. This is where this whole thing has become, you got to pay. One thing I'll say about this administration, some of the things that happen move so fast, people forget what happened yesterday. You know what I'm saying? So it's like a head spinner.
Yeah, because nobody wants to show the full context of the Epstein file. So we're going to create as many smoke screens as possible to do it. At the end of the day, Saddam Hussein was a bad dude who gassed his own people. It's clear that chemical agents were used during the Gulf War, mainly because I have buddies who came home with a lot of issues, and their children were born with issues from being exposed to whatever agent was exposed to over there.
For sure.
But he kept the Sunnis and the Shiites in check.
He did.
Saddam Hussein ruled with an iron fist for a reason.
Sure.
We knew where there were no weapons of mass destruction in there. We watched white leaders lie. We watched our black leaders lie. We watched everybody lie about them having weapons of mass destruction. Right? Yeah, we know Saddam Hussein was a bad dude. What happened when that dude left? Chaos. All broke out. Iraq ain't never been the same since the U.S. got involved in that mess that George Bush put us in.
Same with Libya. I mean,
same argument with Libya. But when you talk about causing the coup, that's what the Obama administration did.
Right.
They caused it. They didn't go over and directly get involved. I'm sure the CIA had some things to do with this. The CIA just trains people to turn against us. So I guess that's part of their training, their training requirements there. But I'm just saying, like I said, this dude, man, he could be very bad. My question is, if somebody decided a United States official was out of order and did a crime, would we allow some other country to come over here and kidnap one of our leaders? No. You know why? Because of our elitists. Huh?
We don't play by the same rules.
We don't play by the same rules, right? And I think that's the danger, right? And I think the bigger thing that's scary for me is that we have military personnel who are executing orders that they know go against their core values and what they're taught by the Uniform Code of Military Justice.
Yeah.
Because nobody wants to deal with the consequence. See, this is where the Eric Snowdens in the world get to say that they turned something in and then go and flee to Russia. Our people did not have those same luxuries, bro. When we came up as whistleblowers, when we came up fighting for civil rights, we laid our forefathers laid their lives down on the line. When it came to that, there's nowhere we can flee, bro. I don't even know where there's a place where we can just actually settle down as a people half the time. Everybody wants our resources. The impact of China and what they're doing in Ghana right now, digging their hands further and further and further in the pot. There are Buddhist temples popping up in China in Ghana right now, bro. They had just built the first one when I got there. They're putting a footprint because everybody wants the resources of the African continent without the people of Africa to do it.
Well, the same thing, the same argument is in Venezuela. So this is the issue. So China, most of the oil, from what I understand, about 90% of the oil that leaves Venezuela up until now was China was the ones who's using that oil. So it's not that oil we don't even use Venezuelan oil from what I understand. China's the one who has all that oil. But I think what's going on, it's interesting because it's not that complicated. Everything's pretty much in front of our faces.
Yes.
If you put it together. So what's going on is that the Trump administration argument is that, look, we have I won't say a rogue state, but we have a quote unquote rogue leader, right, in our backyard. And basically China, Russia, all of our adversaries, quote unquote, are dealing with this nation. And if you add to it the immigration, the drugs, which the drugs is the main thing, again, tying it back, was the reason, the impetus for us going in. This is where people are like, okay, it made sense for him to move on Venezuela. So I think that there was a time something needed to be done with Venezuela, from what I understand. I don't know if doing it like this was the way. So I honestly think that the opposition that was there, they should have worked with the opposition. But again, I think that here's the thing. I don't think Donald Trump and them wanted to do it the typical way America would do it. America always does the covert CIA. You get with the opposition and you topple the leader and switch out, do regime change. They don't really want. What's interesting is that I think that they don't want to do regime change the way we typically would do it, because the people in power right now are still Maduro's people. The vice
Yep.
president is in power, and they're like, listen, the vice president, I forgot her name, something Rodriguez, or something like that, but I forgot her name. But they were like, listen, if you don't listen to us, if you don't do what we want to do, you're gonna face a worse fate than Maduro, and
But,
they mean it.
but
So,
when do we
but what?
threaten? When do we threat? Like, that's what I'm saying, bro. Like,
It's
when
the
do we
oil.
just outright threaten to kill people? Because you can't get no worse than what Maduro's dealing with right now.
Like I said, I think it's because it's the oil. I mean, it's not the oil, but it's the oil. You know
It's
what I'm saying?
it's all the oil, bro. This is
It's you know,
this is about conquering. This dude has a mindset of conquering the Americas.
yeah,
He wants a USARR over here. He wants to be the king of North America
right.
and Latin America. It's just what he wants, bro.
Yeah, it's obvious.
It's what he wants. And
Well,
now
what do
you've
you say?
got
What do you say, Tony, to the
hmm?
people? What do you say to the people of Venezuela who are like, listen, we don't love Donald Trump, but we'll take him. We'll take him running our resources over Maduro. What do we say to people who really? So here's the thing. I think in America we're very privileged. Yes,
Absolutely.
we've gone through some stuff. I'm not going to say we haven't gone through stuff, but we're extremely privileged in America. We just have never lived under a regime or a government that takes your resources, and the government owns and runs everything. Everything's nationalized. I've never experienced that, right? Where they have Venezuela has so much inflation, from my understanding, that a lot of people they have a high use of cryptocurrency over there, because they don't, when they have their money, they would rather switch it over to crypto, because they can't get the dollars so much, but they don't want to keep it in their currency because their currency is so unstable and the inflation. So there's certain things that I think people go through outside of our country that we don't even fathom. So they're
Absolutely.
you know what I'm saying? So I guess when I look at this whole, I'm just trying to look at all the dynamics. So for people who are living under there and they're like, listen, yeah, this isn't the ideal way we want things to go, but we rather have this happen than have Maduro here. So what do we say as Americans for that?
I don't say anything to him. We got things we're dealing with here in this country. I've got colleagues who are facing layoffs within the next 3 months in a massive amount of numbers. We've got universities who are laying off staff all over this country because the government has locked up resource dollars. He's holding up $2.2 billion in infrastructure money from Chicago. He's got those cities who are sanctuary cities. He's withholding money from them. Like, we're dealing with a tyrant. He may not be as bad as Maduro, but he's of the same blood and the same line and the same thought. How he's holding people's money hostage because they don't agree with him. When do we get to a place in America where you can't disagree with somebody without facing a massive amount of penalties for it? I mean, come on. You've got Pete Hedgewitz withholding money from a general, a United States senator, who was in the military for 25 years serving this country, and you're withholding his salary because he made a statement about his war experience and him being fine with resisting orders that were not lined up with the Uniform Code of Military Justice? So you withhold money from that because you don't like somebody disagreeing with you? So
Yeah.
Venezuelans, if this is what y'all want your country to look like and what you want it to run like, then you're going to be like a lot of us, stuck
Well,
with a
they're
type of
well,
administration that is
our stuck
vindictive.
our stuck for them is, and again, I'm just speaking based on what I see. Our stuck for them is like a lot better.
It's like heaven. I get it.
It's heaven,
but
you know. But you
but
made a
but
good
but
point, though. You made a great point in the sense that what do you say to them? I don't say nothing because it's supposed to be America first, and I love that you circle back to that
yes.
because it really isn't America's job, and I guess this is where I'm a little disappointed in the sense of what Donald Trump is doing is a little bit outside of the spectrum of what we normally do, but it's kind of the modus operandi of what we do anyway. We just get into wars. We get into, whether you want to call it a war or not, a conflict, whatever it is, regime change. You break it, you bought it. So you're going to be responsible whatever happens in Venezuela going forward. And this is why I think that it's going to be an issue for this whole move, because we're trying to go in there and do regime change slowly and also take control of some of what's going on as far as the natural resources, but we're still going to be responsible for what happens in that country, right? And this is where it gets spooky, because people, they have some boots on the ground, but people don't want their sons and daughters going over there um to go and fight potentially. And the issue is, even Trump is talking about all these oil companies want to go over there and start to refine the oil, and and go back over there. But a lot of these companies, from my understanding, all of them left or were kicked out. Only one that stayed there was Chevron. The other companies, oil companies, from what I understand right now, don't want to go back, and for good reason, because their thing is that when they go over there and they start to invest billions of dollars over there, they don't know if they might get kicked out again later, right? Because once you go over there and you invest all this money, if you're kicked out later by another regime in Venezuela, you lose all that money. They take all of what you have. So I think the big issue is that they're trying to do the same thing we always do in a different way. And I think that if it goes south, it's going to be the same result, because whatever happens in the country, they're going to say, well, you removed the leader. And if shit goes backwards in Venezuela, they're going to say it's the US's fault. So how long do we keep playing that game in the US? So I'm a little disappointed in that way, because honestly, I really don't see the benefit to America. And I'll circle back to this point, and not to filibuster this whole point, but I'm just circling back because, again, the charge was drugs. Now, if drugs is the issue, I want to put this to you and get your thought on this too, because I've
yeah.
been thinking about this. Why is America, and I'm going to take Europe out of the picture because they're part of this, but why is America, why do we consume so many drugs anyway? Like, the drugs in and of themselves don't matter. People aren't taking them. You understand what I'm saying? What is a kilo if there's nobody to snort it, cook it, shoot it? What does it mean? It's nothing. Like, here's the thing: how come people in Peru, Venezuela, Mexico, Colombia, how come they don't have the drug consumption that we do? And the drugs, they have them there. So if you really want to do something about drugs, in my personal opinion, and mind you, the drug of today is fentanyl. Fentanyl doesn't even come from Venezuela. So you know what I'm saying? But my thing is, I want to get your opinion. If you really want to do something about drugs, is it really about stopping the flow of drugs or the cause of the user? So I think that that's
Bro,
something.
first of all, if you want to keep your podcast, you got to stop speaking clear and logical and asking great questions. You're just going to have to stop. You're not conforming, bro. You're not conforming, right? Look, man.
I
Everything
was a drug voter.
you asked the right question. Why does America have a drug problem? Because every drug that has flowed into this country early on all came from knowledge that came from war zones.
Mm-hmm.
Be it Frank Lucas,
Mm-hmm.
be it when the Chinese came here with the opium
Mm-hmm.
epidemic that was already on the West Coast, right? We're talking about the
Mm-hmm.
time of the railroad and building like bro. So drugs has always been in the fabric of American society. Had it not, the CIA would have never put crack into the black communities
Of
to fund
course.
their war. What's that, Nicaragua, I believe?
But do you wonder why? Why do we take so much drugs? Like, what do you think? Why do we take so much? Because if we didn't take so much, the drug conversation wouldn't be an issue. There are people who are poorer, have more reasons to be stressed out than we are, who have much more reasons to try to escape reality than we do. How come they don't take the drugs and we do? That's what I want to understand.
And the reason is because when you want to keep a people in bondage, once you break a spirit, I don't care if it's economically, I don't care if it's financially, if it's spiritually, whatever category you want to put it in, right? We talk about women who stay in abusive relationships because once you break someone's spirit, it's hard for them to get away because there's this fear of evolving beyond.
Mm-hmm.
It gets really complicated. My mom told me she had more access to drugs when she was in prison than it was when she was on the street.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Right? We've seen pictures of people on drugs inside of prison, in the prison system, where technically should be a place of safety,
Right.
a little bit. Our prison systems are shot. Obama's
Yeah.
the first president to ever step foot in the prison. That says a whole lot by itself.
Mm.
But you ask a great question, man, and I don't want to go deep into the spiritual side of this. Mankind is depraved, bro.
But why
Mankind.
here? Why here so much
Why here?
and not
Because the
other places?
expectation here is that you have enough to pull yourself up from your bootstraps. The expectation here in America is that you can overcome. You can stop with the excuses as a black person and you can build up your wealth and you can build up
But
your
why do we?
family.
But why do we take the drugs then? That's my question. Like, why? Why are we taking it? So I guess my point is that people who are poor, who have more struggle, are we just a spoiled consumption based people in America over other places? Because
Absolutely. You see, these,
it
these cheeks didn't get this way for no reason, bro. I look at you, bro, like I look at you as the pillar of health. Bro, every time I see you and your wife, I'm like, I'm mad at him because he's staying consistent with his workout and his lifestyle and his eating habits and his abs, and he got muscles on, and he ain't even wearing a tight shirt and he got muscles. I
I'm
don't like
trying,
this,
man.
but I'm saying I look at that, right? My wife is the freaking pillar of health, bro. You look at her like, hey Tom, why you got a gut? And your wife like, dude, she fine as butter, dog. You're like, man, just leave me alone. Let me eat my Portillo's cake and leave me. But no, you're right. It's that consumption. It's that consumption. It's that escape. When I started learning about my mom's life, dude, I can't even get mad for her leaving us anymore, dog. Had to grow up quick, bro. She had to
Mm,
leave us. We would have died under her care. She could.
mm.
She had to leave us, bro. She had to. Her life was just so battered, man. I can't imagine what it's like to just get drug free in your 60s, bro.
Mm.
Man, you 70 something now. You just got drug free in your early 60s. Man. And it's
Yeah.
it's hard to explain. When you look at people, I work with brokers who were snorting cocaine in the bathroom, bro.
Yeah.
Just the functional, but
Yeah.
they was hitting coke like water because the trading block was crazy. And I was like, that's what scared me from becoming a trader.
Yeah.
I was like, bro, I'm gonna stick in the mailroom. I don't want that life at all because that's what I saw.
Yeah.
But these cats was like, oh man, that's just for the rush, Tone. We gonna be
Right.
straight. Now look at them. I should have learned from them cats. Not the cocaine part, but the
Right.
stock market part. Because these
Right.
cats are living awfully good right now, bro.
Only the trading tips, not
Only the
not
trade
not the
tips, right?
sniffing.
But I
Right.
think you nailed it though. I think it's something about consumption. I think it's something about when we test the devil and say, hey man, like, I smoked a cigarette. The smell on my breath was so bad, I said, I can't even do this. I can't kiss no woman with breath like this. But somebody else I was with smoked that same cigarette for the first time, and they smoked cigarettes for 15 years before they stopped. You see what I'm saying? We like to play with fire, bro. That consumption thing is so consuming. I don't necessarily know about how the drugs become so infused in American society, but that's the thing, bro. Everything we're doing as a society is consumption based. We
Yeah.
got gambling that's legal.
Right.
You can gamble on your phone and it's legal.
Mm-hmm.
You can go
Yeah.
to the casino and stay all day, 48 hours straight. People be in them casinos 36 hours straight.
Yeah.
They keep oxygen pumping into them rooms to make sure folks, they want you to lose all your money and all your
Yeah.
wealth because the hype is I can do better. I can get over. It's consumption, man. I think you used the exact word. I don't really know how that translates articulately when we talk about the breadth
No,
of the
it
United
does.
States and why
It
drugs are
does.
so popular. I mean, you have to look at what's happening between the Mexican cartel, allegedly, and the people, the Indian tribes, and how they're now being consumed with meth, with
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
opioids. They getting hit with all three, bro.
Yeah.
They getting hit with all three. So when you got those alleged cartel members marrying into the Indian population, well, certain rights come to them as men under Indian law
Mm-hmm.
there. And so they get to take possession of houses over there to keep that trade. Man, the levels of this thing is so deep.
Yeah. So it's really crazy, and I always look at it, and I've been thinking. I did a show on this a while back when I talked. We did a show. It was early on. And I did a show with a few other people, and we were talking about drug consumption in America because it really is something that, to me, it's I wouldn't say it's phenomenal, but it's ironic because when I think about where the drugs come from, I'm like, you would think where the drugs come from, Bolivia, Colombia, when they're out there processing the cocaine, um, and going through what they got to do to package it up before it hits the American streets. I'm like, they don't have no drug problem. The drugs are right there. So it's not innately it's not an innate. So I think the thing is that my point is that in America we almost act like it's an innately human thing to do. When we're around drugs, people are either going to try them, they're going to snort them, smoke them, whatever, shoot them, and they're going to get. That's not innately just a human thing. I think it's also a cultural thing because what I see is I see other places where the drugs come from. If they had drug problems to any level of a degree as us, I'd say, okay, it's just a human thing. You're around the stuff, it's going to happen. The reason why I'm dwelling on this is because the whole reason for them supposedly arresting Maduro, the president of Honduras, if you don't have a market, cartel don't matter. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, they don't sell the drugs to themselves. They don't sell the drugs so much to other Latin American countries unless it's to resell to us.
Interesting,
Everything
isn't it?
about drugs, and again, I'm not taking away Europe. I just put them out the conversation.
Yeah,
But
yeah, they don't need to
you,
be in a conversation. Yeah,
you,
you're right.
Europe is a market, but at the end of the day, America is the golden egg of the drug market. So I'm like, my point is that I think as a president, any president, if you care about drugs, and again, I'll say I don't think Donald Trump cares about drugs on that level. I don't think he's trying to solve a drug issue. The
He
real
ran with
drug issue,
Elon Musk. He couldn't care about drugs.
the
Let's
the
call that what it is,
the,
man.
the real issue is that Maduro locked up, not locked up. It doesn't change drug use in this country. Is the point. So
It
they
won't
have him
stop it.
locked up for that, and it's like at the end of the day, I'm like, for me, as someone who did vote for him, I'm like, I don't try to act like this is about drugs. Like you're saying it one day, but then the next day we're talking about oil. So this is one of the most blatant, in your face kind of things when it comes to oil.
But
And
that's the drug, though. That's the thing.
well, the oil, I guess the oil is the
That's
real drug.
that's the drug, bro.
So,
Everything else is just semantics, man.
right,
That's the
right.
drug that pulsates through the veins of business people when
Yeah,
it comes to big time money. That's the drug.
Yeah.
What did my man I forgot black gold. That's what Talib Kweli called it, man.
It
He
is
called
black
it
gold. Yeah.
black gold, man. That's what oil is, man. So if
Yeah.
we've got to find a way to manipulate how we get access to it without going into our reserves, which the United States has enough reserves from what I understand to last 350 years as a country. I don't know where
Yeah.
we keeping it, but I know we have it.
Right.
And so if I don't want to tap into those oil reserves, then I'll tap into another country's oil reserves. And yeah, I'll get. It's not America first, bro. It's this is
Nah.
gonna be this is a
Yeah.
billionaire's heaven right now.
Yeah. No. Listen. I mean, here's the thing. I don't think anybody can really argue that. This is definitely not an America first thing. I mean, this oil, even to go in and so Venezuela is not even producing anywhere near the oil they used to in the late 90s.
Mm-hmm.
Right? They're producing, I think they were producing 3 million barrels a day back then, and they're producing 300,000. So it's way less than what it is back in the day because their infrastructure, once you nationalize these things, they haven't kept up with the infrastructure to refine and drill and all that. So they're saying it would cost, on the low estimate, $100 billion to go in there and update their infrastructure, and it would take 10 years to get it back to where it need to get. So
And
all of
who's
these
gonna pay?
things,
Who's gonna pay for that?
well, that's the thing. So that's where this whole thing is getting weird. So from what I understand, and I hope this doesn't happen, so Trump is supposed to be meeting with all the oil executives, and like I said, I don't think they don't want to go in there because they're like, listen, we got burned before. So if we go and invest our money, for instance, ConocoPhillips, from what I understand, they lost, because again, when Chavez comes in or Maduro comes in and they say, hey, listen, all this stuff is ours now. There's no more private oil. All of y'all get out. They seize all the assets of any of the private companies that were there. So ConocoPhillips lost $8 billion, from what I understand. So ConocoPhillips is suing. They sued the government of Venezuela, and from what I'm hearing, there may be a deal where they may be able to get some of their money back later on with this whole thing. But the whole point is that unless Venezuela has political stability, a private company is not going to want to go in there and invest all this money because at the end of the day, and this is where it gets tricky. So how long do you control this country? So they have to make sure that if they're going to do regime change, which is going to take some time, first you got to make sure you have political stability. And I just think this is a thing where I think, yes, Nick Maduro is a bad person. Should we have went about it that way? Probably not. I think if anything, they should have went about it the old-fashioned way, done a covert coup, and helped the opposition do what they need to do. But again, America first can't be running and dealing with every other country. And I think that I'm a little disappointed by that because a lot of people thought America was actually going to start focusing on America, and I don't think so because all this stuff doesn't happen overnight. It takes years and years and years to be trying to deal with another country and handle their affairs. So
look at what
it's gonna be crazy.
the farmers are going through in America, right? When you look at how they're complaining about the tariffs, not being able to get, not being able to export, what they do, China being one of the largest partners that they've had on the soybean side, right? So when you look at these things that these farmers are talking about, the depression, because and I agree with you on one point, right? Like you say, you get what you vote for, right? And that's, I mean, it's an emotional responsive statement, but I don't think this is what people voted for. I think people actually voted for change, just like with Obama, just like with Joe Biden, Clinton,
Mm-hmm.
Bush, whoever. Like people vote for change because they believe in somebody, and when they see that
Yeah,
disappointment, like I did with George Bush, I was like, I can't serve under his administration anymore. I
right.
remember being in Great Lakes, and I'm like, y'all, I'm telling y'all, this dude is going to go after Iraq. Afghanistan is it was just his excuse to go in. Oh
Mm-hmm.
no, you're not. You're being paranoid. I said, I'm telling y'all, dog, this dude is going to go in Iran. Give it 12 months, I guarantee. And boom, as soon as October came around, he was right in, going into
Mm-hmm.
Iraq, right? And so I was like, I told y'all it was coming. Oh man, I can't believe it. Like I told you it was coming. I told y'all it was coming. Y'all didn't want to
Yeah,
believe me.
Yeah.
And so when it comes to things like this, so yeah, people vote because they do want something different. They do want something changed. I think what we see is polarizing is the black people that showed up for Obama because he was black is the same white people that you had show up for Donald Trump because he was white. Like there's always going to be a race factor in this thing at some point, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you try to push those things aside and just deal with the politics and the policies, I don't think we've seen policies. We've seen a bunch of executive orders. We've seen a Congress that is totally, we've seen a Republican Party that is just completely consumed with nothingness. We've got a Democratic Party that, as far as I'm concerned, because they had no spine when Joe Biden was in office, they could have shut Trump down then. They didn't do it. They didn't take action. Right?
Well, I agree with you, and they could have. I think the Democratic Party also they've been consumed with hating Trump and complaining,
Oh,
and also not taking action too. Because I think that's one of the reasons why people voted for Trump. They felt like, oh, this guy's going to take some action. Now you may not like all the action that he takes, but to your point, I just think that hopefully going forward, I think that Democrat or Republican, whoever's going to be running things in 2028, I think there's a balance. You know what I'm saying? I think there's a balance, and we need some people who are willing to take action, but people who are pragmatic, people who are um, logical and not all emotional. We need people, and really honestly, I'll say this, and I'll leave my thoughts alone for this evening. But what I'll say is that we really need to see America first, for real, for real. We really need to see that.
I
Seriously.
think I don't think we're getting it. I think that was his big. He made a lot of promises. I think that was his biggest promise. Do something about immigration. Every president has done something about immigration. You may not like what every president has done about immigration, but I mean, Obama's still notorious. He still has the gold medal, right, for the most
He
immigrants
does.
kicked out, right? So I mean, he
Yep.
has that
Medallion.
standard, but it's the humanity that people want to see that comes from the executive office. And right now, we don't see humanity coming from the executive office. And I think that's the biggest concern. People who say, I like how he speaks his mind, go speak your mind to your boss and see what happened to you. See if you keep your job. If you speak your mind to your boss, then. And so I think we are missing an executive presence in the White House. It's clear this dude is on a cognitive decline, but I still think he's just a small cog in the machine.
Oh, for
And I
sure.
think
For sure.
Democrats are playing the wrong game. I still think they're playing a Trump game. And I
Yeah.
think that's the wrong game to play. I think they have a perfect opportunity and if they don't get this year, it's a wrap in 2028. I'm just going to, and I said this the last time I was on your show. If
Yeah.
they don't get the people game,
Yeah.
it's going to be a wrap. Democrats already have a shorter shoestring. They already got a shorter rope. And mainly because you only have 4 years as a Democrat to impress people.
Hmm. Yeah.
Obama didn't do that in 4 years. You already saw what happened. People started dropping off after
Yeah.
3.5 years, right? So Democrats only get a short window to make an impression. Republicans get a longer window. And the only reason they get a longer window is because they play the long game all the time.
Right.
Democrats still play checkers with politics. Republicans are like, nope, we're going to line
That's
up conservative judges here. We're going to line up conservative judges here. We're going to put this person in business in place over here. We're going to hook up J.D. Vance with Peter Thiel on this side to make sure we get funding so we can start setting up. See, these cats got a game plan and a strategy.
Yeah.
So I ain't care too much about Project 2025. I'm like, hey, man, where y'all Project 2025?
Facts.
That's what y'all need to be thinking about.
Yeah.
But if you keep, and I don't know if exacerbating is the right word, if you keep promoting as the Democratic agenda the LBGTQX and illegal immigrants and leave out the rest of America, people are going to always vote for the other side every time because they don't feel like you're all Americans first. You're a subset of Americans first.
Yeah.
I don't have an issue with you lining up things because I don't think any trans people should be killed, murdered, gunned down in the streets. Nobody believes that anybody should be murdered like
nobody's,
that.
Yeah.
But there are bigger issues that the American people are dealing with. And this is where the Democratic Party has utterly failed in reaching the people.
Yeah.
It's a point blank question. What's the definition of a man? What's the definition of a woman? And if you keep
Right.
that as in the eye of the beholder, it's a bunch of BS, and you're not being honest.
Yeah. No,
Be
I agree with
honest.
you. I agree with you 1,000%. I think it's going to be really this. It's going. So I think there's some things on the quote unquote conservative side that are important, and there's some things on the progressive side that are important. And I think that in some ways people would like to obviously see, even if Donald Trump put forth certain actions, people would like to see it in a better way. They like to see it in a more delicate, in a more I won't say presidential, but in a more
No, presidential, man. Say the word, brother.
well, I want to say presidential, but presidential is subjective. I wanted to say in a more professional and a more buttoned up, less cowboyish way. But I think that at the end of the day, you make a good point that the Democrats have to. What did 50 Cent? 50 Cent said in Hustler's Ambition, he said, America got a thing for this gangster shit. They love me. So America has a thing for the gangster. They always have. So America has a
Always.
thing that for that. So that's part you need. There's a part of that America likes about leadership. Um, However, they don't want you to go too far where you just stomping over everything and people getting killed like the Minnesota thing that didn't need to happen. So yeah,
Yeah.
it is
Yeah.
part of that type of leadership
Yeah.
where that would not have happened under an Obama, right? It wouldn't have
Yeah.
happened under a Biden, right? So we
It wouldn't have
do
been tolerated under Obama.
it wouldn't have been, yeah. So the thing is that I think that we need a little bit of both, but I
Yeah.
think that at the end of the day, going forward, regardless to what side, we need to have true America first. Because where things are going in this country, I think the sentiment is there as far as what people voted for, what they thought they were voting for. But again, this Venezuela thing is something that we're all talking about. We're all chattering about. It's in the
Yeah.
news. It's all that.
Yeah.
Americans, you got mad Americans. You had people in Manhattan um, protesting the other day, and Americans who never lived in Venezuela don't know what it's like. While there's Venezuelans saying they're happy, all these are dynamics of it. But Americans, I love the fact you came back earlier and said, "Well," I said, "Well, what do you say to those Venezuelans?" I don't say anything to them because I got my own stuff to worry about,
Yeah.
and I think
I have
that
no ties with Venezuela, bro.
yes,
I'm just being straight up honest. Just like I have no ties with Argentina, and for them to get 45 or 50 billion dollars from our government to take away, we are getting ready to start as a country start collecting on default loans. They're talking this administration. I'm not sure if it's passed or anything yet, but they're talking about doing direct withdrawals from people's bank accounts, withholding IRS tax dollars from
yeah,
these folks who are just garnishing checks. I mean, the American people are feeling it.
a
And
fit, bro.
when you have four billionaires who could give every American in this country $2 million and still be a billionaire, that should be a problem.
Yeah.
There
Yeah.
is a plethora of wealth in this country, and I know people work for it and all this, or they had other people slaving for them to do it. Whatever the case, we don't have a wealth problem in this area. We technically don't even need to have an immigration problem, brother. I've flown through Arizona. I've driven through Illinois, all the way to North Carolina. There is plenty of land that needs to be developed throughout this entire country. So we don't have these issues. We create these issues when we want to isolate people. And right now, we are isolating the world. And I don't see isolating the world as America first. I don't see that as part of the playbook at all. No disrespect for the people of Venezuela, no disrespect to the people of Argentina. If we're going to do America first, then let's be America first. But I know that is not the intent of this administration. It has never been the intent of this administration.
I don't
With
think it's
Donald,
the intent of any administration, to
yeah.
be honest with you. Now, I
Well, I
really,
don't
when I
think any
really look at it,
administration has ever said it except this one.
that's true.
You
That's
know, no administration has said it except this one.
that's true.
I'm
That's
I'm
very
not.
true. Very true.
At the end of the day, bro, as we draw to a conclusion, at
Yes,
the
you
end
got
of
the
the
final
day,
word here. Please
at,
drop it.
at the end of the day, I think America has a lot of work to do on the core of its soul, dealing with this thing from a spiritual nature. And if you ask why young people are running away from Christianity, Islam, and Judaism, it's because they have seen what religious banter has done to politics and people in this country. And I think that the hole that we have still lies within our spiritual disconnection, where we don't have to all have the same beliefs. But man, if we can get the core tenets of love down, we will be much better off as a people. And if we can't do America first, if we can't even do love first, and as long as we don't do love first, we're going to get everything else wrong. But I will
That
say to the
is a
people,
fact.
find a way to tap into whatever this administration is doing and start following these folks and start following businesses. Because I'm trying to understand, okay, what can I invest in the stock game? Because if I can't beat the team, I might as well join the
I will
team,
join
baby.
it. You got that right. You got
So,
that right. It's something to explore. I don't think we've ever
man,
asked ourselves that question.
I
Why,
haven't.
why are we make the market? We talk about this problem, but we're consuming it. Why do we consume so much drugs? And it don't, like, you went over the gamut of it. Doesn't matter what drug. It's not like there's a particular drug. Heroin, cocaine,
Crack
crack,
cocaine,
crack cocaine,
PCP,
PCP, meth.
opioids, fentanyl, meth.
You
Yeah,
know what I'm saying? Like,
bro, that's
it's
you've tapped
crazy.
into something, man. And maybe
You
you can,
know,
if you can get an expert on, I think that would be absolutely outstanding, just to have a person who lives in this world. I don't mean a drug prevention person. I mean like somebody in the medical field who could really talk about the psychology and then the science of what these drugs actually do to human DNA and the chemicals that it changes. You know, that same pull. And you could put drugs or alcoholism in it as well. You know, and we can
you
add a
can definitely put
subset
in there.
of food to that too. You know, sugar's the most dangerous drug that America has. Trust
A
me, I
fact.
know. I'm one of its number one consumers, man.
Ain't we all, man?
But
Ain't
bro,
we
but
all?
you're so right, man. You're gonna have me. I'm about to go talk to my wife and just like, man, my boy dropped something dope tonight. He was just like Tone. What is it with drugs and America? Because
What is it?
that's the root of the problem. It's not these foreign entities.
Yeah.
It's
If
not.
we didn't consume it, there'd be no place to bring it to.